This time I'm getting goosebumps while narrating today's story as this incident was faced by my dad and it just happened a few days back. What happened to him was incredibly creepy and has left me with chills. I, Devi, welcome my viewers to another episode of real life horror stories. Today's episode holds a unique significance as I'm not just a storyteller but someone who genuinely senses and understands the heaviness of that specific moment when you come to the profound realization that you have just encountered a spirit. So, give me a moment as I will narrate this real creepy story after the introduction, and before I forget, a gentle reminder to kindly like, share and subscribe to my channel that brings authentic horror stories. I am on the other side of the intro. As I said earlier, this incident took place few days back. My father was returning home from his evening walk. On his way, he was quite agitated due to the festival crowds clogging the streets. However, on his way back, he was relieved to discover an empty route. He was walking briskly, following a specific rhythm. As he passed by a pond located close to our house, he noticed a small child around 6 to 7 years old, sitting on the steps near the pond. He was wearing a half pant and a messy shirt. Encountering a young child in such a deserted place at that hour shocked my dad. He inquired, "Hey child, what are you doing here? Why are you sitting at the water's edge? And who is with you?" Upon hearing my father's voice, the child turned to look at him with a remarkably calm expression. Despite this, my dad urged him to go home instead of staying alone in that spot. The child looked at my dad briefly and then promptly slipped into the water. My father was both puzzled and frightened by the child's actions. He called out to the child with a loud voice, repeatedly urging him to come out of the water, but his requests were in vain. Since the road was dimly lit, my dad knocked on the door of a nearby house. When the resident appeared, my father explained the entire incident and requested assistance in searching for the young boy. The resident brought a flashlight and was joined by others from the area to help with the search. All were busy looking out for the boy. Some of them jumped into the water to find him, but there was no trace of him. Many people had the same question. "Are you sure you saw a child here?" My dad replied affirmatively, explaining that the child had jumped in front of his eyes from that corner. However, if he had drifted to the other end, my dad had no idea. They all proceeded to the opposite side of the pond where an elderly couple was seated. When questioned about whether they had seen a child floating on that side, they responded that they had not seen anyone. At this point, my father found himself in an uncomfortable situation, desperate to know where the child had vanished. His heart rate increased and he began to feel a sense of unease. While these discussions and search were going on, an elderly lady from a nearby house emerged. She was curious to know what had occurred and why the crowd was so panicked. After learning about the incident, she instructed everyone to return to their respective homes. She, in a way, ordered the crowd to stop the search operation and leave the place immediately. She advised my father to go home. She said, "You also don't worry and go home as fast as you can." She continued that she had also encountered the same child on several occasions. On hearing her words, my dad started to sweat. A fear rolled over his body. He was going through a profound mixture of shock, fear, disbelief, curiosity, confusion, and anxiety. All of a sudden, he recollected an incident that had occurred a few months back at the same pond. A child of approximately 6 or 7 years from a different locality had come with his older brother at the same spot, and while playing had accidentally slipped into the pool. Lacking the ability to swim, the child drowned and lost his life that night. It seemed my father had encountered the ghost of that very same child. After hearing the narration from him, I experienced an indescribable mix of emotions, almost as if I had witnessed a child ghost firsthand. So, my dear friends, this is the authentic experience my father had. If any of you have encountered anything eerie, please don't hesitate to share your own stories with me. You can send your narratives in any format to the email address specified in the description box. I'll conclude today's episode now. Until next time. Bye bye.